18!
I'm here with Colton today, and I think we should jump straight into the news. Tyreek Hill going to the Miami Dolphins. 4 years, $120 million. Oh my gosh.
Highest paid wide receiver of all time, right?
Highest paid wide receiver ever. But I don't care because we got Tyreek Hill.
And Teron Armstead.
And we got Teron Armstead with
of 3 days.
a matter of 24 hours.
Yeah.
Crazy. Honestly, probably the best
draft picks, though.
the best Dolphins offseason I've ever been a part of. And yes, it was 5 draft picks, but at the same time, that it was the 29th pick, the 50th, 2 fourths, and a 6th. And honestly, the 6th round pick was kind of just whatever. The 2 fourths are kind of still just whatever, but the second was a mid-second, and the first was a late first-round pick.
Yeah.
I honestly thought we were gonna have to give up 2 first-round picks, maybe even a little bit more to try to get them. But I mean, this was a better deal than the Jets were even giving them, so I can easily see why the Chiefs went with this.
Yeah. Dolphins got arguably a top 5 wide receiver. I don't think he is, but I know a lot of people put him in his top 5.
Why don't you think he's top 5?
I'm not going to talk about that right now. I just don't think he's top 5. I don't think his hands are there. I think he's exactly. I don't think his route running is up there with. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not going to get into that right now. I just don't. He's easily top 10. He'd be like my 6 or 7 range. I was talking to you earlier. I think he may be a product of Patrick Mahomes being quarterback. You never saw him on offense as much when Alex Smith was there. I think you will still see he's going to have less vertical shots maybe in Miami, seeing that Mike McDaniel was in a predominantly heavy running offense in San Francisco. They did sign 2 running backs in free agency. They also do have Jalen Waddle. Devontae Parker, I haven't seen in trade rumors potentially, but assuming that he stays and having Mike Gesicki, he's probably going to lose some targets. Maybe, I don't know.
I honestly think that it's just going to be such a spread offense and like a wide, like we can really like do anything, because dumping it off to the tight end, we have an all-star track offense with Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, Gesicki, Armstead, and our running backs. We have 2 of the fastest ball carriers last year.
That is true, but for an all-star track team, you need someone to pass off the baton, and you have Tua.
I know, and they're all of those guys are guys who can get open. Gesicki can get open. Jalen Waddle, showed all year that he could get open and even broke the rookie receptions record. And Tyreek Hill will get open on any given play also. In a man-heavy AFC East conference. And I don't know.
Do you think this changes their chances of winning the division?
Yes. 100. Yes. It's like there's like certain people in the league that like give you better chances and like give you like actual wins in the league, and it's like quarterbacks like Mahomes, Herbert, they probably give you like 2 or 3 wins this season, but like receivers like Hopkins probably gives you a win, Jamar Chase probably gives you a win, Tyreek Hill, Justin Jefferson.
I classify Tyreek Hill as like a game-changing player just because of his speed, but I don't know if you get a full win maybe out of him. Maybe you might get an extra win. So what were you guys last year, 8 and 9? So
no, 9 and 8.
9 and 8, so I put you to 10 and 7. You would have snuck in the playoffs with Tyreek Hill because you guys would have won that game against the Titans supposedly.
Well, I don't know about the game against the Titans.
No,
I think
a game, another game.
Another game.
But just before we move on to our AFC playoff predictions, I just want to look at the Chiefs side of this. I think Patrick Mahomes will play the same, to be honest, maybe a little worse, but his career stats without Tyreek Hill are good.
Yeah, I think he had like 8 touchdowns, no interceptions.
8 touchdowns, no interceptions, 4-1, good completion percentage, good passer rating. I think he still averaged close to more than 300 yards a game.
I think it was like 327.
It's pretty good for without your number one wide receiver. But if I'm the Chiefs, I don't know why trade him this year. You probably could have got more. I just don't know because he's not a free agent. I know he's asking to be paid like Devontae Adams money, seeing that Devontae Adams had just gotten paid.
And that was a big thing.
I understand why he wanted to get paid, but unless you knew that he was like, I'm going to sit out unless you don't pay me, I don't know why they traded him. Because why not have another season of Tyreek Hill?
Yeah, I agree because I think they could have easily set up this year around not like trading Tyreek Hill next year, but I think they could have definitely predicted that they were going to like trade him eventually, so they could build around it already.
He was going to be a free agent next year. That's why. So, he would have gotten paid like next year.
Yeah.
I guess maybe.
And I think maybe they wanted like they think they probably could have got more value out of him this year in trading him.
I guess so. It just doesn't make sense to me. I don't know.
Next year he'll be 29, almost 30.
The only reason it would make sense to me is if the Chiefs knew that he said, if I'm not getting paid as the number one wide receiver in the league, I'm not going to play.
Or if they knew that they couldn't pay him next year, and
that's why I think it was a good financial move. Obviously, seeing that Mahomes is getting paid what he is now, so each year you're going to keep taking that cap hit. You still have Travis Kelce, who's eventually going to want to get paid once his contract expires.
Do you think they're going to give up Kelce eventually?
I don't know what their cap situation is looking like next year and the year after that. But you did get rid of Tyrann Mathieu, who obviously his contract year was this year, and they ended up getting rid of him and signing a cheaper, younger option, 25-year-old, Justin Reed.
Who's very promising.
Yes, very promising. He's been a good young safety. And, you got rid of an aging but still good Tyrann Mathieu. So moving on from that, I'd like to take the rest of our show to talk about our AFC Playoff Predictions, our 7 seeds. As of right now, March 24th, because I know that the AFC West is crazy. Browns just got Deshaun Watson, all this. I want to see what you think is your 7-seed playoffs in the AFC as of right now. Do you want to go from 7 to 1, or do you want to go from 1 to 7?
1 to 7.
1 to 7. So, who do you got for your 1 seed?
I have the Bills.
You have the Bills. Do you have an idea record-wise?
I'm thinking probably. See, like I don't like talking about the Bills just because in the division, but like they're good. And I think they'll win 13 games.
They got Von Miller too, so that's in.
I don't think they should have signed him to 6 years.
It was pretty crazy, but I mean.
I think that was still a really good signing for them. They need pass rush above anything.
They did get Gregory Rousseau last year, who did help. So.
He helped a lot, but I still think they need like a dominant pass rusher in. They just need a dominant pass rusher just in that whole conference is just crazy with quarterbacks.
So my number 1 seed, I had the LA Chargers going 14-3.
I have them as my 2nd seed.
Justin Herbert, coming out of Oregon, I didn't see him transforming into the top 5, top 6 quarterback in his 2nd season. Last year, I would say he was a top 5, top 6 quarterback. This year, maybe he elevates his game more, but he can play at that level. The throws he was making, it was pretty insane. And you look at their wide receiver core, Keenan Allen. You just re-signed Mike Williams, Jalen Guyton.
Who's emerging as a young star.
They just got Gerald Everett, who's a very underrated tight end.
Those are underrated pickup.
Great offensive line that they bolstered last year in free agency. Drafted a stud in Rashawn Slater. Austin Eckler, a top 10 running back.
Arguably top 5, and same with Rashawn Slater.
And then I'm not even going to, you can't scoff at the defense either because they have made probably the most moves in free agency on defense.
Yeah, for a defense
that was already, mild to, decent last year.
Yeah, they were already pretty good, and adding J.C. Jackson,
Khalil Mack,
and
Sebastian Joseph Day.
Yeah, adding J.C. Jackson into a division, they're preparing J.C. Jackson to go up against Tyreek Hill and Devontae Adams twice a year. So you're gonna if you're gonna go up against them, you're gonna need an eraser at corner, and then to get after all the good quarterbacks in that division, you're gonna need pass rush too, and Khalil Mack is gonna solve almost all of their problems if he's healthy and if he's playing to the potential that they got him for.
And they already have Joey Bosa. Sebastian Joseph Day is one of the best run stoppers in the league.
Yeah, and Kenneth Murray is going to be coming back. And Derwin James came back from a torn, I think, ACL and had a Defensive Player of the Year season.
I mean, and just lastly, they have Asante Samuel who was, emerging as a young star at corner. So if he just keeps building on his game, then...
And J.C. Jackson's going to elevate his game to a crazy next level. It's like with Stephon Gilmore and J.C. Jackson. Nobody knew about J.C. Jackson
until Stephon Gilmore was there.
Until Stephon Gilmore was there and taught him the ropes.
So who do you have as your number 2 then?
I had the Chargers.
Chargers, yeah. So I have the Ravens at number 2.
I would
also going 14-3.
See, I didn't know if you were gonna put the Ravens super high up because I was like, I don't know if he's gonna really think about how good the Ravens could be with a healthy offense.
A healthy offense, but even more than that, a healthy defense.
With Patrick Queen coming back.
And Marlon Humphrey coming back. Anthony Averett coming back. You just signed Marcus Williams. You already have...
Deshaun Elliott was out for a little bit.
Deshaun Elliott. You already have Marcus Peters. You already have a good front seven. You have...
Jason Owe was kind of... He showed a lot of promise in his rookie season. I think it's a good spot to build off of.
And then you already have a top 3 head coach in John Harbaugh. And then, like you said, I think if they have Lamar Jackson last year, they easily make the playoffs.
Yeah.
No offense to Tyler Huntley, but he's just not Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. And now they have Marquise Brown and Rashad Bateman and Mark Andrews all on the field at the same time. And we can't even forget about J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards because both of them were out the entire season last year. And the run game was what that was what they were completely known for. And that was completely stripped away from, not completely stripped away from them. This is Lamar Jackson, but now they have their running backs. They have another weapon alongside Marquise Brown, and Mark Andrews emerged as a top 3 tight end in the league probably right now.
Yeah.
I think he's easily top 3 right now.
So going to number 3, I had the Bills at 13-4.
I had the Titans.
The Titans. See, now, the Titans, I just don't, after last year's playoff performance and seeing that they really haven't made any positive moves, I just only see them going down.
I just see the one, since I have the Ravens at 4, that would probably be the one move I would change is from the Ravens to Titans. It's just because, like you said, they haven't made the biggest moves. They haven't really made any to be. They got Austin Hooper and Robert Woods, but Austin Hooper's he's okay.
He's a top 10 borderline tight end.
Yeah.
He used to be a top 10 tight end easily.
Yeah.
But they really just haven't done much. The biggest move they made is they gave Harold Landry a huge payday. But, unless Derrick Henry comes back and rushes for another 2,000 yards, they cut Julio. He didn't really do much anyway, but it's still Julio Jones. A.J. Brown had a really good year.
He was out for most of the season,
The way that Tannehill played in that playoff game just shows me that maybe the age is catching up to him. He's not super old, but...
he's already been through a lot, even.
He's had his best years in Tennessee.
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah, and he was semi-decent in Miami, but he was nothing like super special. And he definitely, I think he's had his best year already in Tennessee. I don't know if they should like move on from him directly. I think they should stay with him for this season, but I think after this season, they're going to be considering quarterbacks, and they're going to be looking for the next one.
I don't have the Bills. I mean, not the Bills. I don't have the Titans making the playoffs in my.
Really?
No. So, speaking of that, moving on to my 4th seed, the last division leader, I have the Colts at 11-6.
The Colts?
I am a big Matt Ryan fan. I do think that the Colts will target a wide receiver in this draft, a number 1 wide receiver, or a number 2, depending on who they get. I like Michael Pittman as a wide receiver 1, but I could see him getting bumped down depending on who they get. But it's just, they already have a good offensive line. Jonathan Taylor coming off of probably 3rd in MVP voting season, but very close to 2,000 rushing yards. It's just a defense that's already pretty good. We'll see what happens to them after they lost Matt Eberflus, former or future coach of the year for the Chicago Bears. But with a defense with stars like DeForest Buckner and Darius Leonard and Matt Ryan at quarterback, I could see them easily pulling off 11 wins. And then depending on who they get in the draft, that could be more. But they have a pretty weak division. Jacksonville's not very good. I do think Houston is going to surprise some people and be a little better than what I think people are giving them credit for. But I just see them sweeping almost everybody besides Tennessee.
Yeah. I mean, I really like the Colts this season, especially with the signing of Matt Ryan. And the need of a number 1 receiver is like really, I don't want to say it's like really bad in Indy, but like they need some. They haven't had anybody since T.Y. Hilton had he led the league in receiving yards with 1,400, I think,
and
in
that was
2016 or 2017, I think. They haven't had anybody really break out or emerge as a huge star since then.
Yeah, I mean, you want to go back to Reggie Wayne and Marvin Harrison, but ever since, it's been T.Y. Hilton. That's about it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Michael Pittman he just barely cracked 1,000 yards last year.
And it's not even, it's he had 1,000 yards, but it was he made plays. He had, I think there was a stretch of probably 3 or 4 weeks where he was considered maybe a top 15 or 20 receiver.
But then, yeah.
And then he kind of just dipped, and he was easily the number 1 target on that offense for receivers, and he got 1,000 yards. Yeah. I mean, I'll give it to him. That was 1,000 yards, 1,000 yards. But at the same time,
you got to do better.
You have to have.
Which I think Matt Ryan will help elevate his game.
Yeah.
No offense to Carson Wentz.
Yeah, Carson Wentz. He was. It's not like he was bad, but it's not like he was over the top achieving good.
The stats definitely made him look a little better than I think he played. I don't think Carson Wentz helped them win.
It was just kind of
he played good, but I don't think he helped them win.
Yeah, he was playing not almost to the level of competition as the opponent. But it's not like Carson Wentz taking over a game. He's just not doing that. Yeah. It's Jonathan Taylor in the 4th quarter and their defense creating turnovers. And Darius Leonard honestly is, I think he's super underrated.
I think he's still top 3 easily.
He's still top 3, but honestly I saw his stats compared to Ray Lewis's and Brian Urlacher's in their first 4 seasons, and he's almost head and shoulders above them.
So who'd you have as your 5th seed then?
For my 5th seed, I had the Broncos.
See, I had the Browns.
See, I want to put the Browns in, but it's you almost have to make one with Deshaun Watson and the Browns and one without Deshaun Watson and the Browns.
I'm obviously considering them with Deshaun Watson.
Okay,
I have
then
them going 13-5.
with Deshaun Watson, I would have them at 5 and put the Broncos at 6.
Okay. See, I have the Raiders at 6.
Ooh, you have the Raiders making the playoffs. So
Yeah.
you don't. Actually, you might have them at 7, but. Uh,
I have the Raiders with Derek Carr, Mr. Underrated, Devontae Adams, Hunter Renfrow,
That
Josh
offense is
Jacobs,
crazy.
Darren Waller. I have them at 11-6.
11. That's a good record for them. That offense is going to be crazy
Plus
because.
the defense with Max Crosby and Chandler Jones.
Then they got rid of a corner, I think. I think they got rid of Chris Harris. No,
Brandon Pace Young.
somebody. But honestly, the Raiders, they're like set almost on offense. Like they have. I mean, offensive line could easily need some work, but like Hunter Renfrow was cooking, and he was the only really wide receiver on that team.
No disrespect to Bryan Edwards. He's a good wide receiver 3.
Bryan Edwards honestly was a pretty decent.
That's a good wide receiver 3
a,
to have.
A pretty decent wide receiver 3, but at the same time, Devontae Adams is going to take the load off of that, and they're going to take the load off of Darren Waller, especially because I think teams are focusing more on Darren Waller than Hunter Renfrow.
Yeah. So my last seed, I had the Denver Broncos at 11-6, which means I left the Kansas City Chiefs out in the cold, and they're not making the playoffs.
I did too. And I don't like saying that it's only because of the Tyreek Hill trade, but that is huge
it's not.
hit.
See, when I originally made this list, I had the Chiefs at the 5. But then I went back, I looked at everybody's schedule, I have all their records. I know Arrowhead obviously is a hard place to play. In my heart of hearts, I want to say that the Chiefs can still easily win the division. You have the best quarterback in the league. In my opinion, you have the best tight end in the league. Mm-hmm. You have the best coach in the league, in my opinion. You have an improved offensive line from last year. I'm still a fan of Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Mm-hmm. Juju is not bad. You still have Mecole Hardman. You still have a rising star in Nick Bolton. You have a decent enough secondary. You have
We just got Justin Reed.
Yeah, Justin Reed. And then you already have Chris Jones. They can easily win 13 games and make the playoffs.
You think they can easily win 13 games?
Hey, last year when they started 1-3, what did everybody say? I guess everybody figured out the Chiefs, and then what happens? They rattle off 10 straight, and they end up winning 13 games. Or 12 games, I think they ended up winning, 12-5. I think they can easily do the same thing. Because I'm only putting the Broncos up here going off of the acquisitions that they've made. I don't know how Nathaniel Hackett's going to be in his first year as a head coach. I don't. He could be a blunder, but I'm just basing it off of they just got Russell Wilson. They already have a good offensive line. I like their wide receiving core enough because I think that Russell Wilson will help elevate that because I think Jerry Jeudy will play a lot better. I think Cortland Sutton will play a lot better. I think KJ Hamler will play a lot better. And then that's just the offense. Obviously, they got Randy Gregory. When he's on, he's unblockable. They already have Bradley Chubb. Alexander Johnson and Josie Jewell are decent at linebacker. Their secondary is phenomenal, and it's hard. The AFC West is so good.
It's good everywhere.
That it's hard for me not to put all 4 teams in the playoffs because they're all so good. I feel like they deserve to be in.
All of them deserve to make a spot, and for my 7, I have the Raiders. Yeah. It's like I don't have everything in my heart and soul wants me to put Miami in, but it's like there's just so many other good teams, and
you gotta think of the teams that we're leaving out too. Bengals.
Yeah, I was literally thinking about putting the Bengals for my 7th. The Bengals.
The Steelers, the Patriots. There are a lot of good teams that can potentially
Yeah.
get better and make the playoffs. It's crazy, but this is just how it is right now.
And it's like I could like.
There's still a lot of free agents out there.
Honestly, if I redid mine and had it too, like we would both still have the Chiefs out of the playoffs and Tennessee out of the playoffs. And Tennessee was literally the 1 seed last year without Derrick Henry.
True, even though I don't think they were a very good 1 seed.
Yeah, but they were still the 1 seed. But yeah, that was. I definitely want to rework mine, but I like how we have it so far.
I like where we're at right now. Maybe we'll do one later, but I think that's all for today's show. Avg Joes out.
Green 19! Green 19!